Hey, Paul.
Hi, JJ.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. I wasn't ready.
That's the reason why I clicked the
That's why
button
you
right
did
then and
it.
there. Yeah,
Good
exactly.
job.
Yeah, it's almost like I planned these things. Um, so before we start, who are you?
My name is Paul Tchaikovsky, and I am a managed OpenShift black belt at Red Hat.
Cool.
And who are you?
My name is JJ Asgar, and I'm a developer advocate for the IBM Cloud. And this is our typical Thursday stream. We were off last week, so we are back in
Well,
it.
you
We
were
realized
off last week.
it's true. That is true. Um, and I just realized our names weren't up, so I went ahead and fixed that. Uh, and Paul and I kind of just spend this time to learn something cloud native or do something in general. And we've had some wins, we've had some losses, um, but it's safe to say we always come out learning something, and it's usually my fault. Something
That
broke.
that that tracks.
Yep. Yep. So what can I say? The best way to learn is to fall on your face a few times or something like that. Um, Anywho, so Paul, what are we going to do today?
I actually have no idea, JJ. This is your turn to run the show. I
It's true.
think
It's true.
aren't we doing some sort of like weird like home lab self-hosted secure file transfer tool or something?
Yeah. So uh, we're gonna breeze past a portion of this because it's all really very basic and straightforward. As I looked at the brief research beforehand, but so so nowadays, in general, occasionally you probably use like Google Drive or Dropbox, right, to
Mm-hmm.
send stuff to people. And um, the there's this conversation in at least the self hosting spaces where you shouldn't be putting that stuff out there because they can grab metadata or in general, random privacy rules. Excuse me, um, or whatnot. And there was a couple of different projects out there that tried to create an anonymous way to do this, right? So they couldn't actually see the data you were sending if it was like a PDF or a file or zip file or whatever. And believe it or not, Mozilla actually came out with a system called Send, SEND, back in the day. And they open sourced it because they realized it was too large of a legal risk, for the lack of a better term. So they deprioritized or moved away from that project and open sourced it. And it turns out a gentleman here, who I will share my screen here in just a second. Right now, I will take our names off. If you go to, I'll make this really small. This link here, which I'll throw into the chat in a second here. This project right here is a straightforward Node application that is forked directly from the Mozilla Send project. And turns out people have added features to this, done some really neat stuff. And the neatest part about this thing is that this should be able to work fine on OpenShift. And also, you can actually tack on, for instance, S3 buckets. So the theory being here is that we're going to go ahead and walk through a typical process of getting an application running up on OpenShift. This is a simple node application. We'll get it working locally first on the cluster, and then we'll wire in S3, connecting our IBM Cloud OpenShift cluster, which is just because I work for IBM. Of course, I'm going to have it on IBM Cloud, but I'm going to use the S3 bucket on AWS. So the idea is that we should be able to send files back and forth between us, and we'll have to play around with some ingress rules and some DNS stuff, and eventually, hopefully, this will be enough of a learning experience for everyone along watching this, so they can see in general you can take something off the internet, some application off the internet, or your company's application, and put this inside of OpenShift and working. So let me try to fix something. I just got a report of that, and I don't know why that's. Yeah, it looks like, unfortunately, we are streaming at a lower resolution than we usually do. That is something on the restream side, it seems. I cannot change that, and I'm sorry about that. Hopefully the text will be big enough and everyone can read and see what we're doing here. If not, please poke me, and I'll blow up the screen a little bit more.
Yeah, I just opened up the stream so I can have a look, and it could probably be bumped 1 or 2 sizes, just because it's sort of getting a little bit fuzzy around the edges of the words. But that's all right. We will roll with it and make it work.
That more importantly is do we see our text okay on the screen?
Yeah, the console looks fine. In fact, the console's more readable than the browser was, so I think we're good.
Okay, cool. Okay, so OC get projects. And as you see here, we are on an OpenShift cluster. We've got the projects, and there's nothing on this cluster. It was created, and nothing has been installed, so we know it's a completely virgin cluster. Nothing touched, which is good. And then we have our actual cluster platform here. So there's a couple different ways of doing this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just kind of YOLO this, because that's the best way to learn. And as you saw, this is out on GitHub. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab this URL here, and I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to add a project called Send, or create a project called Send, and then create.
You'll definitely want to zoom this in a little bit in the browser.
All right. Better?
Sure.
We're going to do it from Git. We're going to throw that in here. Looks like we got a Node.js, and it looks like it was smart enough to figure that out, which is pretty damn cool. We're going to play off of UB7, Node 14. I don't think it matters for this application. I don't think they actually say anything about that.
Yeah, why don't you do UB8 just in case?
UB8?
Yeah.
All right, UB8. I think Node 14 should be fine. Requirements. Node 15. So we should probably
all right.
Check the. Yeah, good thing we checked that one.
Is there a?
Yes.
Is there a? 15? Oh boy.
No.
All right. Well, let's just roll with latest and see what happens.
I don't like how it says 14 there.
Do it live.
Yeah, do it live. Do it live. This is.
I mean, worst case, they have an image, and we can run it from their image.
Good point. Good point. So let's go ahead and create. We're going to actually try this. So what am I actually using to build this container, Paul? What's happening right here?
I don't know. A bunch of magic. So it's gonna use a bunch of things. So it's setting up a basically it's not a Tecton pipeline, I don't think, but it's kind of acting like a Tecton pipeline. So it's created a build resource, and that resource is going to clone down the repo, and it's going to look at it, see it's a Node.js app, do an npm install, and blah, 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 get all the bits going, and end up with an image. And that image is then going to be pushed to the in-cluster registry. And then that's going to kick off a deployment that contains that image. And then I think it also creates a service by default as well, an ingress, I should say, to expose it. So once it's built, we should just have a magically working application.
That's the plan. And,
now, if it doesn't use the standard ports, depending on how standard the image is and the configuration is, we may need to update the service to change the port. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Sounds good. And then we should already gain our first goal, because we'll be able to send files back and forth, which would be kind of cool.
Right.
And then we can start playing around with the options here.
Oh, hey,
Wow,
Zampy76.
yeah.
Welcome.
How are you?
So,
Go ahead, Paul.
we are looking at an application called Send, which was originally built by Mozilla, but they open sourced it and then do what all good open source does, and that is abandon the project and let someone else fork it and take it over.
It's true.
And so this dude, Tim Vizey, whatever, however you're supposed to say that, has a live fork of it and is maintaining it. And basically, it is an app for doing secure file sharing without necessarily using scary cloud, stealing your metadata, sending you ads services. So maybe like a home Dropbox or a homebox.com or something like that.
Yep.
And we are just right now we're YOLOing it into OpenShift. So we just basically pointed OpenShift at the source code. It is a Node.js app, and we're just going to see if it works. JJ, is there a database or anything it needs?
From what I understand, no.
Okay.
It's just looks at the local file system and does all the stuff until you add other options to like talk to S3 or whatever. So I believe this will just, like we say, fingers crossed here. I think this should just work.
All right. Zampy, we don't have a pre-built container. Well, there is a pre-built container. We're not using it because we wanted to just see if OpenShift is going to be able to just build it from the resources. Okay, cool. You saw. I can stop talking. So how are we looking, JJ? It seems to be installing.
Things seem to be happening.
Is this the?
This
is the NPM?
Yeah.
All right.
So we're making progress here. Making progress. Things are happening.
So while that's does it say running? Oh, that's the build. Never mind.
Build.
I got excited. All right.
Yeah. Careful.
So while that's
down boy.
Yeah, I know. I got excited. While that's running, what does the README actually say about like what it looks like? Does it talk about the architecture of it?
Oh, check it out. Well, 8080, so we shouldn't have to worry about the
yeah.
So that'll make life easier for us. The actual architecture is not here. In fact, maybe. How can I trust? Why do I need JavaScript? No, I don't think so.
Okay. Maybe just click on what it does. What does it say it does? A file sharing experiment which allows you to send encrypted files to other users. Well, I mean, I guess that's a very, very succinct thing, which is good. Oh, interesting. Okay. So Node.js, it has a Redis optional for development. So I'm going to guess we can run it without that for now. And then S3 or compatible optional. So I'm going to guess without that, it's just going to use like a local file store.
Yep.
So if this was a home lab, we would have a VM running in a hypervisor or something, and it would just be attached to whatever disk. And if you were maybe running it in the cloud, you might run it on Amazon, and maybe you would use S3, but you would choose to encrypt the S3 buckets, and that way, at rest, it's not accessible by Amazon or dodgy hackers.
Yep. It's pretty neat. They actually have some really cool like Docker Compose,
right,
to do all this stuff. I had a stretch goal before doing this stream was try to figure out how to get this working actually in Code Engine, believe it or not, because there's no reason why it wouldn't work in Code Engine with IBM Cloud, but I never got around to it because I never for these streams.
No, and we could probably also use the is it Red Hat serverless or whatever the hell it is that comes inside of OpenShift.
Ooh,
here we go. Crash loop back off. I bet you it's going to say it can't connect to Redis. NPM start.
I think because we didn't do the variables for
Yeah,
production.
but that's why I'm looking. Is that
Yeah.
the final?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Oh, I like how it just dumps the logs into a file, which means in
that
a
you can't get to.
yeah in a container that's already stopped. Doesn't really help.
Yeah.
All right, so
So
in that case, let's have a look at.
deployment.
So why don't you hit that docs docker? Because unless
Yay! Thanks for that, Ball Frizzy. Favorite 2 DevOps stream on Twitch. That's very nice of you. Thank you so much.
I can't believe I got called a DevOps. I'm so excited.
There you go. There you go. Okay, so we got some environmental variables here. Here we go. We'll probably need to put a base URL in there. So we could actually throw this into the.
Well, why don't you look
deployment,
at the?
right?
Why don't you scroll up and look at the Docker run, because that's telling us the minimum we need to get it to work, right? So why don't we go ahead and delete this and let's just run it from their image.
Okay.
And I think you can do like OC new app and then point it at the URL for the image. And then once that's done, we can look at the deployment and figure out. Or we could do a OC create deployment -- image, either way.
So new project with
Send v2.
Yep. Not for me.
Right.
We'll go ahead and add container image.
From container image.
And that is registry. Oh, they're on GitLab. I did not know this. Excuse me. Paste. Validating.
Validated. Runtime. That's interesting. Runtime icon. We don't care.
It's going to be a camel.
Alrighty. Application name, we don't care. Name, we don't care. Resources, we don't care. Oh, we do care. We want it to be a deployment.
Yeah.
No, just call it send, because the namespace. All we care about for the v2 is the namespace.
Oh, it's not going to clash with the other one called send?
No, because it's in a different namespace.
Oh, yeah. Good call. Good call.
Yeah. Okay. And then we do want to create a route. And routing, deployment? Health checks, deployment. Yeah, click on deployment. We're looking for a way to add environment variables. All right.
There we go.
So you can take the things in the Docker run command.
That's the plan. Hang on. Move over. All right. So we need to do detect base. Detect base URL to true. Do we need a Redis host?
I would say we do. So it's probably in that image. It probably has a Redis as a second binary, which is not ideal, but for government work, it'll be fine.
This host local. Oh yeah, because it'll be inside the container. It's local. I'm with you now.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't. I think that's all we need by default, because according to,
I reckon,
as you said there.
Why don't you look at the Docker Compose and just see if there's anything else in that?
Don't like this. Don't like that.
Yeah, 1443, 1443. Interesting.
It's different port. Yeah.
We can look at the ports and figure those out later.
Okay, so okay.
I'm just curious if there's any other things they're doing in Docker Compose that we should be interested in.
Proxy.
Oh, interesting. They're running Nginx, Let's Encrypt. Oh, okay. So this is a pretty full-on Docker Compose.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's designed to run on like on a VM
Right.
on the cloud where you just run Docker
Yeah,
Compose
yeah.
up and you're good to go. So
Yeah,
you know,
so
here we go.
it looks like they're using a separate Redis box. And all right, let's go ahead and hit create. Yeah.
All right. Take two.
Take two.
There's our camel.
Now, while that's happening, do you want to Google and see if there's a like a Helm chart or anything?
Hang on. Figured it out.
Oh.
It's
look at running. That. How did it do that? What kind of wizardry is this? Wait, is that it? Is that working?
That's it. It's working. Yeah.
Dude,
it.
What the hell? This isn't real.
Right. I know, right? I'm going to put that PNG up in there. We're going to do 100 downloads for 7 days. I'm going to upload it. I'm going to copy this link. Throw that in the chat.
Oh, I am excited. No, you click on it.
It's pointless for me to get it. I mean, I already have it.
Download. And I look at it. And it is a QR code.
Yeah, it's a PNG QR code. Nice.
Well, that's exciting.
That's it. Well, it just worked. Like legit, just worked.
It just worked. Now, this means that anyone could, from this URL, upload a
of course your
file.
I mean, yeah, of course, yep. Of course your phone's in Russian. That's
oh yeah, don't actually never ever open anything that JJ sends you. Surely you'll know that by now. Unless it's because he sent you his AWS credentials again, in which case definitely open them.
A couple times, you know, I get all this stuff for free anyway, right? It's all charged to IBM. Anywho, so yes, so success, right? Like legit, this is successful. We have now, but the interesting part is we have run this container on the local file system. So I'm thinking if we break into this container real quick, right, we'll actually see where this file is, and then if we roll the container, it'll be gone, right? Like all of a sudden everything's gone, which is
right.
I mean, I walk through the process here, right? And then we can talk about using S3 buckets as a backend for this thing. So then we can have something more stable. So what's idempotent? More idempotent.
No, idempotent is wrong. Persistent.
Persistent? Yes, persistent. No. Well,
I'm insistent that it's persistent.
No, the container would be ephemeral, but the storage would be persistent.
Right, the storage will be persistent, and that's what we care about.
Yeah,
and that would then allow you to run it in a scale to 0 kind of environment.
Exactly. So we break into the container. Here we go.
Wait, how did you do that? You can just open a terminal in a container?
Yeah.
What the hell, dude? What black magic is this?
I know, it's OpenShift, man. Shit's awesome.
Wow.
Oh, and good point, Paul. If you blow away its Redis, it'll break their links anyway.
Will it now?
It keeps state there. It keeps
so
state
it won't.
There.
So it's not just using Redis as a cache. We'll find out.
Only if we had access to the software to look at it.
Right. So why don't you do a PS and see what's running? PS.
In Node.js.
So we have Node.js and sh and ps running. Now I assume sh and ps are you.
Yep.
So it's not actually running Redis?
Oh.
Is it just running a like a dumb in memory? Okay. And now I'm assuming the file is in server storage. So let's have a look there.
Ooh,
No.
there's the
Oh,
Redis S3
oh, that
GCS
looks like
file system.
looks like configs. Was there a slash storage or something like that? I think I remember there was an environment variable you could set to set the default path.
Oh, really? Send virtual host base URL
Slash
slash
uploads.
uploads. Yep.
See if that exists. By Barlfire Zens.
Nope.
Why you all gotta have hard to pronounce names? That's not cool.
Unless there's like a slash app upload or something like that.
Where's my file? Where's my file? La 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 la. Fool Snabble. I can say Fool Snabble just fine. That's easy.
I'm not even gonna try.
No, best you don't. I mean, JJ, you can't even pronounce your own name. You have to just say the first initial twice. So
That's
we don't
exactly
expect
right.
much from you.
I'll be over here. You harass the viewers.
All right.
I'll figure this out.
The file is somewhere. We don't know where. That doesn't really matter. Why don't you go ahead and restart the pod? Yeah. So I assume you can click on the deployment and there's a button to restart it. Well, you're not actually going to restart the pod. Go to the deployment. You can tell it to do a rollout.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and that way it's going to be. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but at least that way it's a clean roll of the.
Yeah. Deployment.
Isn't there like a
delete deployment, edit deployment? Pause rollouts.
We want to do a rollout. I'm sure there's a button somewhere that looks like a refresh button that you want to press to refresh the screen, but it actually restarts the. All right. Well, click on resources.
Nope.
All right. Switch to your command prompt. Jump into your correct namespace.
V-2.
Send-V-2.
Yep.
And then do OC rollout. Deployment. Send. And then, sorry, before deployment, add restart. All right, so now we have, it's already done it. So now we've got a fresh version. So go back to that URL.
Yeah, crap. Hang on.
Well, you've already got it open, don't you? Or did you close it? Refresh.
Copy link.
Refresh. Just shift refresh this whole screen.
Yep.
Yeah. See, it's all gone. So that's expected behavior. So now what we need to do is figure out how to add the S3 bucket in there.
Yep. All right. So that is done via access keys, secret keys in a bucket, and these storage. Right?
Yeah, that looks right.
Disable volume and file dir variable. I'm going to copy this over here.
Hey, so Phil Snabble just said that he tried IBM Cloud today, and he felt that the front end was more understandable than AWS or Azure. And what would you say are the strengths of IBM Cloud? So the biggest strength of IBM Cloud is it's very easy to get an OpenShift cluster running on it.
You just reach out to me and I give you one? Is that what happens?
Well, I mean, yes, that's how I would get one. But there is, was it Red Hat OpenShift for IBM Cloud? Is that the correct name of the product? And you like
Yes.
hit like 2 buttons, and like 20 minutes later, you magically have an OpenShift cluster.
That's right.
You can also get a regular like raw Kubernetes if you prefer to go a little bit raw dog on your Kubernetes deployments, right? Is that still a thing, right? Yep.
That's
so
great.
you can either get straight Kubernetes, or you can grab a real platform and use OpenShift. See what I did there, JJ?
Hey, yeah, that was
See
good.
what I did there? Wearing my sales hat.
Yeah, I was going to say, or you could go to landscape.cncf.io and get overwhelmed, or use a real cloud operating system like OpenShift. Well, like cloud operating system is the wrong word.
Yeah.
So,
anyway, what were you using Fuel Snabble to? So it seemed quite easy to get code through running in an app through Docker from Git repos. Were you using the code deploy, or what was the tool set you were using? I'd be curious to see. Is it called app deploy? What's that thing called, JJ, that just magically runs your code for you?
Code Engine.
Code Engine. That's the one.
Yeah, Code Engine.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going, as Paul keeps harassing people, I'm going to go ahead and get this going over here so we can start getting the S3 buckets going. Sound good?
Sounds good. Yeah, nice. Fuel says he thinks it was Code Engine. Well, I'm glad to hear that it worked well for you. So I believe JJ is copying and pasting his AWS credentials in the background, and he has, for once, remembered not to do it in the foreground. So unfortunately, this stream, we may not actually get hacked, which will be a first in a little while. Usually someone decides to screenshot keys and then painfully copy and paste, well, type them out from the screenshot and then hack JJ and get his boss mad at him. But I guess that's not happening.
Happens way too often. It really does.
I mean, you know,
way too often.
What did they say? You're always in the shit. It's just the depth that changes.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, that's JJ's career and or life in a nutshell right there.
Oh, so true. So true. Okay.
He's laughing on the outside. He's crying on the inside. Now, hopefully, JJ, you're capable of listening to me tell dumb jokes and at the same time type in your S3 credentials. Otherwise, this could take a while.
Yeah, no, I'm getting there. I just created the bucket. And
yeah,
now I'm going to come over here and go back into the. No, okay. Here's a good question. All right. So now we need to add new environmental variables to this. Is it better for us to redeploy with them? Should we add them to the deployment? Should we restart again and create another version of this? If you were talking to a customer, what would you say to do for a long-term solution?
So what I would say to do is to use config maps and secrets.
Okay.
Especially for the secret bits, right?
Yeah.
And not because secrets have magic encryption, because spoiler, they don't, but because that keeps them out of the YAML for your resources. And it separates your config and your code, right? In this case, it's not really code, it's YAML, but think as your config maps and your secrets as your config and your resource deployment as your code. So you're separating the two. So you can update one or the other without necessarily having to update both.
Yep.
And then there are some tricks to tell deployments to restart if the secrets or config maps they rely on are changed. And that's a deeper thing to go down though. But for this, I would say you should just YOLO it in and not worry too much.
Yeah, so, I was planning on doing that, but I was curious to see what the production level of. But also, you didn't mention it. Wouldn't that also not having all these environmental variables or these secrets or whatever in the YAML? wouldn't the YAML be easier to read also? Because now you would always have like this knowing this is the secret or whatever on the cluster.
Yes and no. Because you have to reference the secrets and config maps they're coming from.
True.
And so you're just replacing one bunch of ugly YAML with another bunch of ugly YAML.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But in this case, I guess you can go to here and you can go to resources and you can go to the environment variables. Where were we setting those up?
Edit deployment.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh.
You know what you're doing. Oh God, do we have to do the YAML?
No, I don't think so. There's another way. Environment. Here we go.
Phew.
And I'm going to go ahead and because I know myself, I'm going to go ahead and copy this one here, paste. I'm doing this one, and I'm going to do this one. I'm not actually going to put it in, but just so you all see me do it, right? And then I'm going to take it off the screen. Or better yet, I'll put this the little other dude up. The bucket.
Yeah, so Fuel just made the comment that nobody seems to enjoy YAML, and no, nobody really enjoys YAML, but it's also better than some of the alternatives. Like I would rather write the Kubernetes YAML for a Kubernetes like deployment service config map secret and tie them together than to have to write a entire Chef cookbook or Ansible playbook to do the same thing. Yeah, that's right. At least YAML has comments. So that's a CloudFormation jab, because CloudFormation is a JSON, which does not allow comments.
All right, so I'm going to put the thing up. Sorry, everybody, but can't have you stealing my stuff. So there we go. And then
secret time.
That's right.
So the other thing I'll mention while JJ's doing this is if your Kubernetes YAML is getting complicated enough that it's getting hard to read, that is like a smell. It's a sign of the technical debt of something being too complicated. And is probably a good sign that you should probably step into using something like Helm and do templating. And that way you're only exposing like the templated values file to your end users. They don't have to know the entire YAML. They just have to know the inputs. And then beyond that, of course, there's other options as well. Like maybe it's time to think about writing an operator, or maybe it's a sign that you're trying to do too much stuff in the deployment.yaml and you need to break it out into config maps and secrets, or whatever. So that's one of my biggest takeaways, having been doing Kubernetes YAML for a long time now, is if it's starting to get hard to read, rethink about what you're doing. We'll see often, especially in config maps and secrets, you end up like embedding text files inside of YAML, and I have seen like YAML embedded inside of YAML embedded inside of YAML as like as like files inside of files and stuff. And if you're doing that, like there's probably a valid reason to be doing it, so don't feel bad, but also set yourself a task sometime in the near future to figure out how to simplify it. Otherwise, future you will be really mad when he has to troubleshoot it and can't remember why he did that, or can't even read it.
Where the hell is the topology? All right, so if I've got this right, I should be able to select a file to upload, and we're going to go ahead and do bargain basement bathysphere. And we're going to do 100 downloads. We'll do it for 1 hour. We'll upload that now. It is bigger, but that's fine. Let's see here. It's going.
Wait, did I see you just did another OC rollout?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Why?
Because I updated the environmental variables. I want to make sure everything was in a good state.
Right, but if you
Well,
update the environment variables, the deployment knows to restart.
Really?
That's standard deployment behavior.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah, so if you change anything in an environment, if you change anything in a deployment, the deployment knows it needs to restart. It needs to restart the pods. So it will scale a new replica set up, and it will scale the old replica set to 0. And that's how you end up with the deployment rollout.
So Fuel Snip, I'm not even going to try. We actually do have something just like S3 for IBM Cloud. It's called the COS, Cloud Object Storage. It is actually S3 compatible, which is really nice. But part of the challenge here is that I wanted to use, arguably, a multi-cloud offering, because now using OpenShift on IBM Cloud, connecting to S3 on AWS, we are now using 2 clouds to run this piece of software. So that was kind of the goal of this stream. But there's no reason why I couldn't have used Cloud Object Storage here, which is surprisingly cost competitive to a lot of other offerings off there. So
yeah, and in general, you would use the object store that comes with your cloud because of like transfer fees and stuff. But throwaway demo apps is totally cool to just do stuff like this.
All right, so there is the link if anyone wants to click it. And I'd be curious to see.
Again, remember, this is a link that JJ is sending you. So like if you
Check
get
that out.
if you get a .exe file or a .com file, don't run it.
Check it out. It's in S3. There it is.
Nice.
Yeah, it uploaded and everything. So, and the goal here is hopefully we'll see. How do can I just refresh this? I don't want to lose the status. So I want to see how many are left, right?
Oh, well, I haven't actually downloaded it. Do you want me to download it?
Oh, okay. Yeah,
okay,
I'm curious.
Now I've downloaded it. You should refresh it.
I think so.
Well, if you refresh it and the file goes away, that's a problem.
Yep. There we go. 99 downloads.
All right.
So Paul?
Yeah.
We did what we were planning on doing.
We did. Well, we got one last test.
Oh, yes.
Roll that deployment, baby.
Roll that deployment again. All right. Here we go.
New one's already running. Super quick.
Yep. Open that up.
The route won't have changed, so you'll be able to.
Yep. So I refresh this. That's now gone.
Oh no.
But we can try the link again.
I already oh no, here's the link.
Copy.
Yeah, so I think Redis is unfortunately important.
Yeah.
At least it'll say this link has expired. That's something. But I guess it says that for any bad link. So there's a thing.
So I'll see it later on today, just out of pure curiosity, because I put it in for an hour. By rolling that Redis instance, does that get removed too? Right? Because if that's true, then
sure.
I'm gonna have to delete it. Yeah.
You're totally busted.
Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's fine. I mean, just hit the delete button and do it now while you're thinking about it.
All right, fine.
Otherwise, Brad Topol is going to be mad because you cost him 3 cents in S3 charges.
It's true. That is true. I love you, Brad. Of course, I know you wouldn't, but still, I don't want to spend our money that we don't need to. Delete. Here we go. Delete objects, and it's gone.
Nice.
Cool.
Good job.
Yeah. I mean, that was a pretty good, simple roll for our first time back after a week. Yeah.
Yeah. So curious now, is there a Helm chart for Send?
We're going to write an operator next time for it.
Oh God, stop that. So why don't you share your screen real quick?
God damn it. Just turned all that stuff off. Hang on. All right, there we go.
and go to not Operator Hub. Go to artifacthub.io.
All right.
And type in send.
Send the Telegram.
No, just hit enter. Click on the left. There should be a thing to select just Helm charts.
These are all things sending to Slack.
Right. Well, so maybe in a future stream, we could write a Helm chart to deploy send, and we'll include doing a backend Redis and make it configurable for different clouds.
That would be really cool.
We can show doing persistent volumes, blah blah blah, and kind of make something that looks maybe not production grade finger quote, but is sort of on the path to being that. And then you can stick it on GitHub and share it and make it available in an Artifact Hub, and other weirdos who like to run dumb things in Kubernetes can do the same.
Yeah. Wouldn't be too hard to put all that stuff together.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've hacked on a Helm chart together, so that might be a fun activity.
Absolutely. And then if we want to do something right by our downstream users, we could even talk about using the Operator SDK when we've got that Helm chart done, and slurp that in there.
No, I want to punch you in the face.
Hey, we could even get it in on anyway. Yes, no, that's good stuff. I like it. Cool. Well, I mean, I'm not going to complain about a short stream when we hit our goals, right? Like that was the whole point. But if anyone has any questions or thoughts, let's stick around for a minute or two. Otherwise, we'll be back next week with, honestly, maybe even the Helm chart. That might actually be a really good idea. All right. Yeah. We'll keep going on that. And then from there, we'll see where we go. Anyone got any questions for us?
Cool bananas.
Yeah. Nothing? Bueller?
Hey, if you all can't get enough of it, we're also involved in a podcast called The Hallway Track, available where all good podcasts can be found. Although it may be under Drunk and Retired, because that's the old podcast name that we stole. But yeah, if you want to hear us talk about like the weird intersection of like food and technology, well, actually, it's not really at the intersection. It's just those are the two topics we like to talk about.
And Fast and Furious.
And Fast and the Furious. Yeah, we're definitely a Fast and the Furious fan podcast at times.
Yes. We're all family. Like Vin Diesel or Dominic Toretto wants us to be. No, nothing. Not even a smile emoji.
What about Furiosa?
What about Furious? Awesome. All right, y'all.
All right. Let's do it.
Paul.
Hit that button, end that stream, end recording.
Okay.